I paid my sister's bills for years. She called me the toxic incel brother while using my money. So I took back everything I funded and let the golden child cry herself offline. Hey Reddit, ever live in a house where you pay half the bills but still get treated like the family freeloader? Yeah, that's been my life for the past couple years. 23 male, full-time high school teacher, and somehow I'm still stuck at home. Not by choice, but because rent's a scam, and my family's got the emotional maturity of a group chat meltdown. The worst part? My sister, 17 female, acts like she runs the place. She gets coddled like she's royalty, calls me every insult she can find online, and my mom treats it like it's just teenage sass. Well, I stopped playing along. And when I finally flipped the script, let's just say the golden child and her hype woman didn't handle reality too well. I work as a full-time high school teacher and somehow still live at home. Not by choice, but because rent's a joke, and my dad's income alone can't cover everything. So I split the bills with him. It's manageable. Or, it was manageable until my sister decided I was the physical embodiment of Reddit's worst stereotypes. You know how every family has that one kid that can do no wrong? Yeah, that's her. The golden child. Our parents act like she's a genius because she once watched a documentary on sea turtles, and now she's the smartest person in the house. Meanwhile, I'm over here with a full-time job, paying half the mortgage, and getting called an incel for playing a game after work. I wish I was exaggerating. I seriously do. One day I come home from work, totally fried after breaking up a fight between two hormonal freshmen, sit down to chill with my Switch, and not even 30 seconds in I hear, wow, classic incel behavior, from the couch. She doesn't even look up from her phone, like it's just a reflex now. At first, I thought she heard that word online and didn't know what it meant. So I asked her straight up, do you even know what an incel is? She looked me dead in the face and said, yeah, you. With this smug little smirk like she just dropped a nuclear truth bomb. It wasn't even funny, just stupid and loud. The problem is, she figured out that word gets to me. So now she uses it like it's my damn nickname. Watching anime? Incel. Wearing headphones? Incel. Making noodles? Only an incel would use that much garlic powder. It's like living with a Twitter comment section. And mom? Oh, mom's living in her own little fantasy land. The kind where her daughter is a sweet, misunderstood angel, and her son is some rude, antisocial neckbeard that needs to lighten up. Every time I bring up my sister's behavior, I get hit with some crap like, she's just expressing herself, or it's a phase, she's 17, or my personal favorite, don't be so sensitive. Right, because having your little sister yank your headphones off mid-game just to call you a virgin loser Discord mod in front of your friend on Discord is totally just teen girl behavior. I tried to vent to mom about it, tell her how humiliating and annoying it's getting. She cut me off halfway and said, you need to learn to take a joke. You're the adult here. Cool. Guess being an adult now means I'm the designated doormat. Dad's different. Kind of. He doesn't really pick sides. Most days he just tunes it all out and goes to work. He's always working. And I don't blame him. Between my sister's drama and mom acting like a backstage pageant mom, I'd clock extra hours too. But the favoritism? It's clear as day. My sister could come home with a D in math, and mom would say she's just not a numbers person. I get a B+ in college, and she asked me why I'm slipping. Sis accidentally dented my car bumper once, and mom said I should have parked better. One time, she took my favorite hoodie without asking and spilled juice all over it. Mom's response? You shouldn't leave your things around. Lady, it was in my closet. I tried the ignore strategy. You know, the whole don't feed the trolls thing. But that made her worse. I'd be minding my own business, grading papers, and she'd walk by and flick the back of my neck just to get me to react. If I didn't respond, she'd say, wow, incel and a mute. You're leveling up. This is the same girl who once cried for 2 days because someone didn't like her Instagram story. But she's allowed to treat me like dirt because it's just teasing. So yeah, I'm working all day, paying half the house bills, covering extra stuff like groceries when needed, and I come home to be treated like a walking Reddit insult compilation. I've tried talking to her. I've tried talking to mom. I've even tried just keeping my distance. Nothing works. The golden child gets a free pass every time. She could slap me in the face with a fish and mom would probably say, well, he must have provoked her. At this point, I'm just tired. I deal with teenagers all day at school. I shouldn't have to come home and deal with one that has zero consequences for her actions. And the fact that I'm footing part of her lifestyle just makes it worse. But now, I'm seriously done playing along. If things don't change soon, I'm out. I've already looked up a couple of rental listings. I'm not going to keep funding her private tech collection just to be her personal punching bag. Not in this economy. Not when I could have peace and Wi-Fi somewhere else. Let's see how special she feels when I'm gone, and her free ride disappears with me. That was the last thought I had before walking out of my room and finding her slouched on the living room couch, double-chinned and dead-eyed, watching some garbage reality show on her iPad. The same iPad, by the way, I helped pay for during Black Friday because she needed it for school. Apparently, school means watching other spoiled brats throw tantrums over iced coffee and Instagram captions. She looked up, spotted me, and without skipping a beat said, "There goes the Discord mod." I didn't even flinch. Just stared at her. I was already beyond done. Mom heard it too. She was in the kitchen humming like it was a Disney musical. Cutting up strawberries for a smoothie she was probably going to hand feed my sister like she was a baby bird. I waited. Nothing. Not even a, "Hey, don't call your brother names." I stepped in. "You're really okay with her bratty spoiled attitude?" Mom looked at me, blinked like I just interrupted her Oscar-nominated performance, and said, "You're the older one. Be the mature example." Oh, right. Because maturity means letting your teenage sister turn your existence into her favorite insult. So I laid it out. Told them both in plain words that I'm moving out if this keeps going. Told Mom I'm not some backup parent, not a walking ATM, and not her emotional sponge just because she refuses to deal with her daughter's garbage behavior. I thought she'd panic, maybe even pretend to care. Instead, she tilted her head like I was the ungrateful one and went, "So you're just gonna abandon your family?" Abandon. Lady, I pay half the bills. She hasn't paid for a single thing in the house since Netflix was $7.99. My sister grinned like she just watched a villain origin story in real time. She literally picked up her phone, typed something, and giggled. Wouldn't be surprised if I end up as some anonymous, toxic brother story on her close Instagram. The worst part? She legit thinks she's famous. She's got maybe 150 followers and walks around the house like she's Megan Fox. The way she struts in her mismatched socks and 5 pounds of lip gloss, you'd think she's heading to a red carpet and not the pantry for hot Cheetos. Later that night, I caught her in the dining room trying to record one of those POV, "My incel brother is mad again" videos. I walked in while she was pretending to cry in front of the camera with some sad piano music playing. She yelped, dropped her phone, and screamed, "You ruined my content!" Yeah, sorry for ruining your Oscar audition, kid. My bad for living in the house I helped pay for. Mom came rushing in like someone got stabbed. She sees me standing there, arms crossed, and immediately goes into defense mode. "Why are you always picking on her?" I had to laugh. Like full-on laugh. She's recording fake videos crying about me and I'm picking on her? Mom didn't even flinch. She's expressing herself. Maybe if you were nicer, she wouldn't have to vent online. I could not believe what I was hearing. Could not. I told her flat out, if she posts something with my name in it, I'm reporting it. Don't test me. Mom gasped like I just kicked the family dog. "You wouldn't hurt your own sister like that." "Ma'am, she's been verbally nuking me for weeks and I haven't even raised my voice. But sure, I'm the threat. By the way, I'd like to mention this. Our house is not a mansion. It's a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the suburbs. You can hear everything through the walls. So when she starts blasting TikToks with those robotic voiceovers mocking guys who build Gundams, I hear every word. She even taped a post-it on my door once that said, "Virgin Cave, enter at own risk." I peeled it off. Next day, there were 3 more. I told my dad about it when he got home that night. I could tell he was trying to stay out of it, but he sighed and rubbed his temples like a man who just realized he forgot his umbrella, and it's pouring. He told me, "Try not to take it personally. She's just being a kid. Number kids draw on walls and forget their homework. This one's running a full-blown humiliation campaign." I reminded him I'm not just some moody brother sulking about name-calling. I'm an adult man, working full-time, putting money into this household, and being disrespected in my own room, in front of guests, even online. He didn't argue, just nodded. Quiet. Like he knew I was right but didn't want to say it out loud yet. Meanwhile, Mom's fully lost in La La Land. Later that night, she sits me down like she's about to teach me a life lesson and says, "You need to understand her. Her generation is different. She's sensitive, artistic, emotionally intelligent." Emotionally intelligent? She shoved a sock in my cereal box the other day and called it a prank. When I asked what part of that was intelligent, she went quiet and muttered something about how I never support her creativity. I stood up mid-sentence and just walked out. I didn't slam a door. Didn't shout. I just left the room before my brain short-circuited from the stupidity. From that night on, I stopped talking to both of them unless it was about bills or actual logistics. If I came home and she was in the living room, I went to my room. If mom tried to guilt trip me, I shut it down with a cool story and walked away. The second I stopped reacting, the second I stopped playing into their weird little family theater, it got worse. But here's the thing. What am I supposed to do? Fight a 17-year-old? Cuss her out? Throw something back? Bro, that'd just make me look like the lunatic. She's still a minor, and I'm a grown man with a job that requires a clean rep. She wants a reaction, and I'm not about to hand it to her just to prove a point. I'm not going to play tug of war with someone who's still doing TikTok dances in the kitchen at midnight while mom calling her bratty attitude a phase. This wasn't a phase. This was war, and I was done fighting battles with people who needed me more than I needed them. So the next morning, I didn't say a word to anyone. Just woke up early, made my coffee, and sat at the table scrolling through apartment listings. I bookmarked 3. Nothing fancy, just quiet and far enough away that I wouldn't hear the word incel every time I exhaled. Dad came into the kitchen mid-scroll. He looked tired, more than usual. I didn't waste time. I told him straight. I'm moving out. Not bluffing, not trying to scare anyone. Just a heads up before I actually pack a box. He didn't argue this time. No sigh. No, she's just young. He just sat down, nodded once, and said, I get it. I told him I wasn't leaving to be dramatic. I was leaving because every time I walked through the door, I felt like a punching bag with a Wi-Fi password. He looked down at his mug, then back at me. You've been paying for all her stuff, haven't you? Yeah, I said. Every bit of it. Laptop, switch, her phone upgrade, her desk. I didn't mind before. But now? Nah. That's when he flipped. Quietly, but you could feel it. He got up, walked straight to her room, and didn't even knock. Just opened the door and said, Get up. She was still in bed, sleeping like a baby who never had to earn a dime. When she realized Dad was holding a cardboard box, she sat up like a meerkat. What are you doing? She asked. He didn't answer. He just unplugged her desktop tower, wrapped the cords, and dropped it in the box. Calm, efficient, no yelling. Dad, that's mine. Nope, he said. Your brother bought it. I heard her throw a slipper at the wall. He took the switch next, then the laptop, then the Bluetooth keyboard. When she tried to grab one back, he blocked her hand and told her, You want these? Buy them yourself. Mom came running in like someone called 911. What is going on in here? He's taking my stuff, my sister shrieked, clutching her stuffed penguin like it was the last slice of dignity she had. No, Dad said. I'm taking his stuff. Mom stepped in his path like a linebacker, arms out. She needs these for school. She needs a reality check, he replied. He's moving out. I'm not going to let her treat him like garbage and keep enjoying the benefits. She's a child, Mark, Mom screamed. You're hurting her mental health. He didn't even blink. She's 17, not 5. She's old enough to know better. My sister was on the floor now, crying and mumbling nonsense like, This is abuse and I can't survive like this. Pretty bold talk for someone who still gets her clothes folded for her. Dad walked past them both and handed me the box without a word. The room was dead quiet except for her sobbing. I didn't say anything either. I wasn't going to rub it in or gloat. That would have made me just like her. Mom followed me into the hallway, fuming. You really think this solves anything? No, I said. But at least I don't have to keep funding the person calling me names every day. She scoffed. You're so dramatic. She's a kid. You're acting like you're the victim. I just smiled and said, Well, newsflash. I am. I took the box to my room and locked the door. Tossed it next to my closet and sat back down at my desk like nothing happened. 10 minutes later, I heard my sister slam her bedroom door. Then something heavy hit the wall. Probably her pillow or whatever statement she was trying to make this time. Later that night, I ordered takeout and ate in my room. Didn't feel like sharing a table with anyone. While I was watching YouTube, I heard footsteps outside my door. Then something thudded against it. Soft, but on purpose. I opened it. A pair of rolled-up socks lay on the floor. No note. Just passive-aggressive sock delivery. I didn't even react. Just stepped over it and closed the door again. By the time I went to sleep, I'd already blocked my sister on every app I could think of. If she wanted to keep being a menace, she could do it without my attention. Dad knocked once before bed. Said, I meant what I said. Let me know if you find a place. First 2 months, I'll cover them. I told him he didn't have to, but he insisted. I should have stopped this earlier. I didn't argue. He was right. The next morning, I moved half my stuff to my friend's place across town, so I could fully move in with him next week. I told him it was temporary, just till I got my own space. When I came back to grab more clothes, Mom barely looked at me, didn't speak, didn't blink, just kept peeling. My sister was nowhere in sight, but I could hear muffled sobbing through the wall. For once, I didn't feel guilty. They weren't crying because they missed me. They were crying because they were finally losing the ATM with a pulse. Barely 2 days after I moved half my stuff out, things started spiraling back at the house. My sister couldn't get into her Spotify. She freaked. Apparently, losing ad-free Ariana Grande was the final straw. She tore through the house like someone shut off her oxygen. Dad didn't react, just sat there sipping his coffee, while she slammed drawers and screamed about her freedom being stripped. I wasn't even home to see it, but I heard about it, because later that night she started running her mouth in the family group chats. At first, it was subtle. Can't believe how toxic some people become when they move out. Then it got bolder. She dropped my name, claimed I was emotionally unstable and prone to violent outbursts, said I hated women and always had. She even sent a message saying, "If anything happens to me, just know who to blame." Like I was some villain in a teen drama. The messages were all vague enough to avoid direct accountability, but obvious enough that extended family would connect the dots. My uncle texted me separately. "Hey man, everything okay?" No idea what to say to that. What do you even say when your teenage sister is doing a PR smear campaign on WhatsApp? A cousin sent me screenshots. That's how I saw it myself. Full paragraphs about how I'd always belittled her, and how the stress of living with a narcissistic brother caused her to develop anxiety. She even tried to spin it like I was some misogynist who couldn't stand empowered women. Poor empowered? This is the same person who once said she shouldn't have to take out the trash because that's not aesthetic. I didn't respond. Let them type. I knew anything I said would be twisted, cropped, and passed around like gossip currency. Mom, of course, chimed in on her side. She wasn't just enabling it. She was part of it. In the thread, she called me cold, said I forgot where I came from, and added the classic, "He's changed since getting that job." Yeah, I changed. I stopped letting a teenager run my blood pressure into the stratosphere. Meanwhile, Dad stayed dead silent in all the chats. Didn't like or reply to anything. That was the most telling part. In our private texts, he sent one message. "Don't let them get in your head. I see what's really going on." Still, it felt like watching people rewrite my life in real time. And these weren't strangers. They were family. People I grew up seeing every holiday. Now they were sitting around reading my sister's fan fiction and treating it like gospel. Back at the house, the chaos kept rolling. I came by to grab the last bin of my stuff. Walked in, stayed quiet. She didn't scream this time. She just hovered nearby, watching like a little creep. When I went to the kitchen, she accidentally spilled orange juice down the counter. No apology, no towel, just walked off smirking. Mom was in the living room pretending to read a book, but I could tell she'd been watching the whole thing. She didn't say anything, just shot me that, "Look what you've done to this family" face, like I was the problem. I loaded the bin into my car and got ready to leave. Dad caught me at the front door. Told me he changed the lock on the garage after she tried to sneak in again to grab the laptop I took back. He looked tired. Said he was considering putting a padlock on it just in case. That's how far gone it was. The man was guarding the garage like it was Area 51. He told me my sister had tried to guilt him too. Said he was letting the patriarchy win by siding with me. Whatever that even means. Mom, meanwhile, stayed cold. Didn't speak to me once. I left without saying goodbye. Not because I was mad, but because there was nothing left to say. Back at my friend's place, I finally felt like I could breathe. He'd cleared a corner of his closet for me and tossed me an extra key. First thing I did was check the group chat again. New messages. This time, my sister claimed she had evidence of how abusive I'd been, and that she was considering going public. Sure, let her talk. That was my last thought before putting my phone on silent and dropping it face down on my desk. I didn't need to defend myself in group chats anymore. Let them believe what they want. I wasn't going to argue with people who think gossip counts as evidence. That piece lasted less than 12 hours. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from a coworker. Then a text. "Hey, you need to see this. It's about you." Attached was a TikTok. It didn't take long to load. My sister had posted a full-blown slideshow video. Dramatic music, slow transitions, and all. It started with a blurry photo of me at some family event, smiling and holding a plate of food. Then a caption in white text faded in over the image, "Living with emotional abuse." The next image was me playing guitar at a Christmas party. He yells. He threatens. He controls. Then one from my graduation. "I live in fear." And then, at the end, she posted a clip of our house exterior, front lawn, mailbox, everything, and tagged our high school in the caption. She used my full name. The actual caption read, "I don't feel safe. Not all abusers leave bruises. Pray for me." I watched the whole thing twice. Not because I couldn't believe it, but because I wanted to make sure I caught every detail. Her account was public. Her follower count had jumped since the last time I checked. Comments were pouring in. People were tagging each other, saying things like he needs to be arrested and file a report ASAP. There were classmates from her school in there. A couple even claimed they'd always had a bad feeling about me. And the worst part? Some of my own students had liked the post. I didn't panic. I didn't throw anything or yell or pace. I took a deep breath, stood up, and got to work about what I already warned her. I was going to report it first. I took screenshots of everything, every frame, every comment, every username. I copied the video link, saved the audio, and backed up the post through a screen recording. I emailed all of it to myself. Then I forwarded everything to my lawyer. I'd already been in contact with him weeks ago when the group chat stuff started. This was the kind of evidence he was waiting for. After that, I contacted my principal. I didn't want them to hear about it from anyone else. I explained the situation calmly and attached the video. By noon, I was sitting in the front office of the high school, explaining the context again face to face. To their credit, they didn't accuse me of anything. The admin team was professional. They said I handled it exactly right. They told me not to engage with her online or offline. Just let the legal side take over. By the end of the day, my sister was pulled into a disciplinary meeting with the dean at her grade level. According to someone who overheard it, she cried the second she walked in and claimed I was trying to ruin her future because she was more popular. The school suspended her on the spot. 2 weeks minimum. Social media privileges removed from all student groups. Academic probation. Parents notified. That's when the second meltdown started, the one inside the house. My phone lit up with texts from my mom. "You didn't have to take it this far. She's just a child. You've destroyed our family. You've always been jealous of her. How dare you bring lawyers into this?" I didn't reply. Not one word. She followed up with voicemails, all frantic. Crying in some, yelling in others. Begging, threatening, guilt-tripping. She cycled through every manipulation style like she was speed-running a therapy diagnosis. Then she showed up to the school. Not kidding. She actually marched into the front office the next morning and demanded a meeting with the principal. Claimed the school was targeting her daughter, that the allegations were misunderstood jokes, and that I was weaponizing my job to bully the family. Security had to walk her out when she wouldn't leave. Apparently, she tried to grab a stack of flyers off the table on her way out and threw one on the floor, yelling that she'd be lawyering up too. I only found out because the secretary emailed me later and said, "Let us know if she comes to your apartment. We'll write an incident report." I didn't even bother asking why they assumed she would. They were probably right. Meanwhile, my sister's post got taken down by TikTok. Not because she deleted it, because my lawyer filed a DMCA takedown and a defamation report. It was flagged as harmful misinformation and removed within 24 hours. That same day, the cease and desist letter arrived at the house. My lawyer made sure it was addressed directly to my mom as her guardian. The wording was clean. No threats. Just a very firm warning that if another defamatory post went public, we'd pursue full civil penalties. I never saw the actual reaction, but Dad told me what happened. She threw the letter across the room, screamed that I was suing a baby, and locked herself in the bathroom for an hour. My sister? Apparently, she called my aunt and said I was legally bullying her, and that he's going to have me arrested for existing. A few family members reached out to me again. This time, the tone had changed. One cousin messaged me, "I didn't realize it got that bad." She really tagged the school? Yup, she did. The tide was turning. That night, I had dinner with my friend. I told him everything. He just nodded and said, "I think she forgot you weren't playing the same game." I slept better that night than I had in months, but the fallout was far from over. The next morning, my lawyer called. Said we had a hearing scheduled with juvenile mediation court. Nothing criminal, just standard protocol. A formal response to the cyberbullying. We'd submit the evidence. She'd be required to attend with my mom. If she didn't, the school could escalate it to the board. I thanked him, hung up, and looked out the window. My phone buzzed again. Another cousin. "She's saying you're trying to ruin her future out of revenge." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop, checked my calendar, and highlighted the court date. Funny thing is, I haven't even started yet. That was the thought sitting quietly in the back of my head while everything around them started breaking apart. And I didn't even have to lift a finger. By the time the court notice landed at the house, the damage was already done. The school had already issued the suspension. Her TikTok account was still disabled. Every classmate who'd reshared her video got hit with temporary bans from school activities. Some even unfollowed her. Word spreads fast when the story doesn't add up. Apparently, my sister tried to flip the script at school, saying she was just raising awareness. But no one was buying it, especially when screenshots started circulating, the ones with her caption tagging the school and accusing me by name of abuse. Now she was walking through hallways with her head down. Even her usual followers didn't want to sit with her at lunch. One teacher overheard her muttering that she didn't mean for it to blow up like that. Too late. The court hearing wasn't even a full trial, just mediation, standard for juvenile civil disputes. Still, she had to show up in person with my mom. A real judge, real documents, no filters, no dramatic background music. My lawyer said she kept her head down the whole time. Mom, on the other hand, wouldn't shut up. She ranted about how the whole thing was a witch hunt and that I was targeting a child out of spite. The judge reminded her her daughter was 17, not some helpless toddler, and that tagging someone's workplace in false abuse claims wasn't protected under teenage drama. They were forced to sign a formal agreement to remove all public content about me and avoid any further contact. Any violation? Civil court? Real penalties. That should have been the end of it, but of course it wasn't. 2 days later, the building's security called me. Said there was a woman banging on the lobby door asking to be let in. Said she was just trying to talk to her son. I knew exactly who it was. I didn't go down. Just let her stand there while the security guard told her to leave. She cried on the sidewalk for a while, sitting on a bench like someone abandoned her. Eventually, she left. I didn't say a word. An hour later, she sent me a 6-paragraph email through an old Gmail I forgot I had. She called me heartless. Said I destroyed my sister emotionally. Said she cries every night. That I should have just taken the high road instead of ruining their lives over some online drama. She ended it with, "You're not the son I raised." No argument there. That weekend, my dad stopped by with pizza. He sat down at my little kitchen table and looked 10 years younger. Said he barely slept at home anymore. Said the silence in the house wasn't peaceful. It was awkward. Like they were walking around pretending the walls weren't closing in. Then came the letter. Monday morning, I checked my mailbox and found a plain envelope with no name. Inside was a wrinkled notebook page, written in sharp, uneven pen strokes. My sister's handwriting. She asked me not to press charges. Not because she was sorry, but because it's already bad enough. Still no apology. Just a guilt trip wrapped in victim language. I folded the letter and shoved it in a drawer. I wasn't planning on suing her for money. This wasn't about revenge. This was about shutting it down and making sure she knew she couldn't run her mouth and hide behind the word teenager forever. But then, a couple nights later, I got a heads up from Dad. They're on the way to your place again. I told them not to, but your mom insisted. This time, she brought backup. I told the security guard to let them in this time. My buddy was out, and honestly, I was just curious what they had to say. I'd already seen them sitting on the hallway floor through the peephole before they even knocked. Mom had one of those dollar store food containers in her lap. Something homemade and sad-looking. Sister was hunched over, arms around her legs, not crying, but not talking either. Just sitting there. I opened the door. No words, no expression. Just stepped aside and walked back in. They followed me in slowly, like they weren't sure if they were allowed to be inside, or just hoping I wouldn't change my mind. I sat at the kitchen table. They stood for a second, then awkwardly took the seats across from me. No one touched the food. My sister kept her eyes on the floor. Mom kept looking at me like she was trying to figure out which version of me she was dealing with. The one who used to fix their Wi-Fi and pay for groceries, or the one who dragged them into court and shut everything down. Mom broke the silence first. "You look tired." I didn't answer. She tried again. We didn't come to fight. Still nothing from me. Eventually, she started rambling, talking about how things got out of hand, how my sister was just venting, how it all escalated faster than they expected. The words "is sorry" and "wrong" never made an appearance. It was a lot of, "we were emotional and you misunderstood." She said they hadn't been sleeping, that my sister was in a bad place, and that she had so much pressure from social media. She even tried to compare it to how I used to be moody in college. I just sat there. Let her speak. Let the guilt trip run its full course. When she paused, I turned to my sister. "You have something to say?" She looked up slowly. Eyes red, makeup smudged, clearly not used to being on the losing side of anything. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she muttered. "I was just mad. That was it." I waited for more. Some accountability. Anything that sounded like an actual apology? But no. She stared at me like I was supposed to say, "It's okay," and hand her a redemption arc. Instead, I leaned back in my chair. You tried to ruin my job. You told people I abused you. You made it public. And now that there's consequences, you're mad it didn't go your way. I didn't think they'd take it seriously, she said. It was just TikTok. Really? You tagged my school and used my name. That's not a joke. That's a hit piece. Mom reached across the table with the container. We made lasagna. Your favorite. I stared at it. Cool. Leave it by the trash on your way out. Her face twitched. That moment where she realized the sympathy card was maxed out. I stood up, walked to the door. They didn't follow right away. Mom looked like she was trying to come up with one last monologue. Sister just sat there looking like she was waiting to get grounded. You came here hoping I'd let this go, I said flatly. You thought if you cried enough, brought some food, played the victim, it'd erase what happened. Mom opened her mouth. I cut her off. I'm not angry anymore. I'm done. You wanted me to listen, I did. But don't mistake that for a reset. They stood. No hugs, no fake smiles, just silence. As they walked out, Mom looked back one last time. Her voice cracked. Are you really cutting us off? No, I'm just making it official, I said. I'm just done being the one getting cut. I shut the door, locked it, stood there for a second, listening to their steps fade down the hallway. Dad called later that night. Said he was staying with his brother for a while. Said he was proud of me for not backing down, even when they started guilt tripping. I asked if he was okay. Honestly, he said, first time I felt sane in months. We didn't talk long, didn't need to. For the first time in years, I wasn't holding my breath waiting for the next insult, next guilt trip, next fake apology. For once, I had the silence, and they had to sit with the noise they created.